Let's bring in Jamie McGoldrick here. He's the UN's Humanitarian Coordinator in Yemen and joins us now from that country's capital, from the main city, Sana'a. Now, Jamie, how serious is the humanitarian crisis in Yemen right now?
Well, I mean, the scale is massive. 19 million people needing some kind of assistance. And at the same time, within that, you've got 7 million people who don't know where the next meal comes from. And as mentioned in your piece there, there's almost 500,000 kids who are on the brink of serious starvation. So that's the scale of it. At the same time, you've got problems of bringing food into the country because the Hodeida port is struggling to continue to deliver. The banking sector in this country no longer functions. The commercial sector, every part of the authorities, services, health, education, they've all stopped because no one gets salaries anymore. So we had originally had a caseload of people we were serving, and now every day that caseload gets bigger.
Now, it's alleged that hunger is being used as a weapon in the conflict in Yemen. Would you say that's the case?
I would say that what's happening is that the economy's been weaponized, and the fact that the parties are closing down things like the banks, closing down things like importation, making it difficult for supplies to come into the country. And then the impact of that is that people don't have the purchasing power because they have no salaries, and the price of goods is exorbitant because they're having to come in through very long routes, makes the price of goods very high. The inflation rate is massive. So all of those things have been turned against the people of this country. So you could say that the economy's been weaponized.
So there's a war going on. The economy's been weaponized, as you've said. Are those the biggest obstacles you're facing in your efforts to help people there?
Well, I mean, there are other problems we face as well. Access, obviously. Security is a problem too because of the conflicts raging in many parts of the country. The West Coast was mentioned in your piece, but there are other parts as well. And at the same time, we face the difficulties of actually trying to raise resources. We've only got 7% funding for our year's appeal of $2.1 billion. So that makes our efforts very difficult to plan. And with these increased costs and the inflation, the money we do have doesn't go as far as it should. Meanwhile, the beneficiary numbers are growing by the day because people can't survive without us, because they can't survive because they're living on the knife's edge.
So there's a call from help coming from Yemen. We can hear that here in Berlin. What would you ask the international community to do to help you address the crisis in Yemen?
Well, I think what we would do is that we would ask countries in Europe, such as Germany and others, to make sure that they take part at the highest level next month in Geneva, where there's a pledging conference at ministerial level, where the Secretary General of the UN will chair that meeting, co-hosted by Swiss and Swede governments. And we would hope that the people would come there with serious amounts of cash to put on the table. Not promises, not pledges, but cash to make people's lives different, to save people in this country and to save Yemen. Otherwise, we'll be back here next year, the numbers will be twice what they are right now, and the challenges will be all the more great. Now's the time to act because the threat of famine has been already indicated in this country.
What chances do you see for a solution to the conflict in Yemen? Because supposedly that's the key. If this conflict could be ended, then perhaps you could go about your work and help those people.
Well, quite right. I mean, there has to be a peace agreement. There has to be peace. The war has to end. The humanitarians cannot solve this problem. This is a political solution, and the parties to the conflict have to get back round the table. Unfortunately, the negotiations are in a stalemate, and meanwhile we've got a job to do to try and raise money and resources to address the humanitarian needs until such times as that peace breaks out. And that'll take some time, because even though peace does break out, there's another 18 months or 2 years the humanitarian crisis will continue to be part of the equation in this country. So we have to get a peace to stop the war, and we have to get money to stop the people suffering.
Jamie McGoldrick in Sana'a, Yemen, thank you so much for talking to us.